Uh, I'm so happy that you are making this distinction because I experienced sometimes that I feel so awake and so aware that I'm pure awareness. So nothing can bother pure awareness. What's happened just happened, doesn't mean anything about me or anything else. And other times I'm so identified with the narrative of my mind that I got to conclusion I'm a basket case. Yesterday this thing didn't bother me and I was doing so good, and today I'm here or in fear or jealousy and my frequency go down. And I really got after your talk right now is like when I am suffering or feeling triggered, I am on the persona software or the program.
Yeah.
I'm in the matrix.
That's
I'm
right.
identified with this reality here and think that's all it is,
That's
and
right.
that I'm a persona trying to get or avoid something.
Different lens.
Different lens.
Yeah.
And the other day I do my meditation and I get out of my meditation and world is just so perfect, so full. I'm feeling fulfillment. I'm feel one with everything. And the other day, but now I understand after your talk is like when the mind take over and pull me to those stories and I'm not good enough, I'm doing something wrong, things should be different, I need to avoid her. And I believe on that. I'm not have enough awareness to pull myself back and say, oh, that is just the narrative of the persona, is this software they operate in the avatar that's trying to say that is the whole thing.
Yeah.
And step one step back.
Yeah.
And from there being awareness. I really love this distinction. So make me release like, okay, I'm not going crazy or a basket case. And this moment, I'm just believing my mind. And that's not where the awareness should be focused on.
Yeah.
Just to watch the mind. So thank you.
It's really, it's such a good distinction to have because the truth of who we are is already present. It's just been so occluded and so distorted by our self-judgment.
Yeah. And that's another layer of that quality that I just like to say to conclude. I talked to you the other day when we did the 6 steps and with Dietrich. And the goal was, so that's why when we'll ask that question a few weeks ago, or we say, let's do 6 steps, some of us like, oh, I don't want to go find triggers. I'm feeling so good right now. Because the main reason that he did that and based in a Course in Miracle is not to get rid of the trigger, it's just for watch that you're believing the story that mind is telling us and dispel that. When we come out of 6 steps, we should be so in pure awareness that you just see that it's the story.
Right.
It's not trying to fix the problem at the level of the problem, or should I do this or should I do that? It's like, oh, it's in the story, and the awake awareness can watch the story without get touched by that in any ways. It's just non-dual. It's pure, it's one awareness, and that's the same awareness that permeates everything. But it's just sometimes the mind is so convincing, right? Yeah, this awareness. I had my session with Polly this week, and she said something to me. I was like, Polly, I'm going through some stuff here. And she said, stop believing your thoughts. First step. Okay, it's right there.
You're believing what you're thinking.
That's the mistake right there.
That's a part of the garden story, isn't it? That we fell out of our hearts and into the rational analytic, into our minds, basically, so that everything is seen through the filter of the polarity, good and bad, right and wrong, or the rational analytic thinking. Let me figure it out. And from our hearts, there isn't anything except connection, and from that connection, whatever is next arises, right? Because the low frequency of fear is a well, let me say it differently. The expression of having to get the right answer, having to know what's happening, is the insecurity of a fear-based identity. And so that's why when we fell into our minds and we're using the rational analytic, where it's all based in fear, and then actually the need to know so that we can control. And that frequency is one that's created all of the difficulty that we know about on the planet, or that we know about even in our up close and personal experience, right? It's that lens of it. I always say the universal human paradigm is a way that it should be. It's not that way, and it's somebody's fault. And that's kind of like our orientation towards everything, other people, situations, circumstances. So we're cleansing the lens of perception. Right?
So anyone else have a question, either in the Zoom room, Zoom room, or in this room?
I have
Yeah,
one.
Tashina?
So we're talking about the fear, and yesterday I was in the car, and a bunch of girlfriends had gone into the restaurant, and I was taking off my wet bathing suit, and I opened the door after I was done, and a bird came right into the car. And it was just like right there, right at my feet, right in front of me. And it startled me, and I was in such a joy space before that. So like the body, I noticed that sometimes the body will just have fear, because I thought, oh, it was such a beautiful experience, and I wish I could have like held out my hand and had it sit there for me. It was like a little visiting friend, and I didn't need to be afraid, but it was a surprise.
Right.
And yet I was afraid, and it startled me. It was
Sure.
like, I was not expecting it in the parking lot.
Right.
And so it is, the fear is just stored in the body.
Well, the body has its own sensibilities. The thing about when it's bodily like that, it's typically going to be in the moment. Fear in general is a mind created scenario of some kind, or regret or worry or whatever. But you can tell that the body the bird shows up and you're startled. You can feel that it's just a bodily kind of, that's you as the animal.
Yes.
Responding to that.
That animal.
Exactly.
Well, I had for a moment, believed my thoughts, and I remembered the story, don't believe your thoughts, but I was like, well, if I was really in my awake awareness self, I would have not maybe been fearful or not had that jump.
The body probably would have had it.
Pardon?
The body probably would have had it.
It still would have had it.
Yeah. We're created with these biochemistry and then neurology and all of it. So
It's the fight or flight.
I think that's a really important distinction, what you just said about. First of all, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
You did.
but I wanted to thank Polly for making the discernment that we're not here to wake up the
Yeah, that's
wounded
so good.
child ego.
Right.
That part, that's a useless
It's
waste of.
gonna be endless
and-
work.
Endless.
Endless.
What I wanted to say though, Tashina, that I really appreciate your your distinction, that you're in Polly's, that the body can still have its reactions. It's just, this is the body, this is the instinctual body mind reacting, and realizing you're still watching the body mind reacting. And not to think that just because it's always like glass,
Yeah,
that you're not awake.
yeah.
Because there isn't always like glass, but it doesn't mean that there's not a play happening.
it's only when the mind comes in that you know that the fear is taken over. Otherwise, the body reacts to something startling. You step in front of a car, you do something and the body takes a hit, and you correct in whatever way whatever that means. But it's when the mind takes over with a story like, oh, you're so stupid, you're always fucking up, whatever. The mind is on a roll now,
Takes off with it.
like that. Yeah, but
Well, I did, the first thought that came to me was, oh, well, if you were really present.
you were
you
St.
would-
Francis of Assisi.
Yeah, I would. But then I saw it right away. It's like, no, but you don't have to believe that thought. That's not a true thought. Yeah.
I remember this,
So,
in the S training with Werner Erhard back in the day. He had a trainer who got hit by a car and opened his car door and jumped out and said, I've just been hit by a car, isn't that great? And he did a huge turnaround, even he wasn't hurt, but his car was smashed. And he decided he would get up and thank the car. And that was part of his path of enlightenment is just accepting everything. And he, it just exploded with joy, which is a great response if you can do it. You could do it, Pal.
And then insurance needed a new car.
Yeah, right.
That's why I don't drive anymore, because I can't do that.
You have those joy
That's
moments. That's what Mahatma Gandhi did. He did when the guy shot him and he got the first shot. He put his both hands together and he said, "Thank you, brother," and he passed away.
There you go.
So what's the frequency of that? Gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But that level of awareness to don't believe when the thoughts and right it's happen, the body being used in our mind for so many years, I think, Polly, the body is so used to follow the mind instructions. And now it's like, no, wait a minute, we don't follow this instruction anymore, wait a minute. And it start to create gaps. And the beginning that requires a lot. Polly said to me other day that one moment the mind will stop telling stories. And I'm like, okay, because if you're aware and present enough to don't engage with those thoughts, that's what you say, no, well, if I don't believe, don't engage, one moment is like, why bother? She's not paying attention
Yeah,
to
they will stop. Yeah,
Right.
that's the thing, that the compulsive thinking, because thinking has been running the show, and we believe what we think, that was part of the programming. So that the spaciousness that comes with out of thinking mind. And the mind's function is to add up the column, or not anymore even that, right? Is to click on the AI, find on your phone or whatever. But the freedom from the mind, because the mind is the creation of our self-abuse. It was the creation of the conclusion, I'm not good enough and I don't matter. And so it proliferates on that same thing. And then that is the energy, the information that's moving into the quantum field and showing up in our world. It's tricky business.
So thank you very much, both of you, for sharing that trigger point. That would have been my question, like in this modern world with work and family and life itself and engaging with the world. I mean, I have the experience, for me, there are a lot of trigger points. And is it then part of awakening if you can actually go like what you shared with the bird experience? There is a trigger point, you have that primary reaction where you maybe have a spike, and then you go like, calm down, it's just A, B, C, and you have actually a secondary chance for a secondary response. And you completely interact in a very different way, like more consciousness and more, let's say, more mindful, depending on the situation.
Yeah, I sometimes don't. This is Karen, right?
Karen, yes.
Karen, yeah. I sometimes we use a technique or a protocol called 6 Steps to Freedom process, which starts off with I'm triggered. Sometimes I talk about a kind of collapsed version of that. Once you're accustomed to really acknowledging being triggered, I know what that is. Like somebody doesn't call me back or something, and I am triggered. But in that moment, I can remind myself, I know what that is, and then go straight to the 6th step, which is, and I know who I am. And so it collapses, and it's kind of like what you described. It's like the awareness, more consciousness coming into the moment, even when the moment was a triggering moment. Yeah, but the thing we don't want to do is what I commonly call put sugar over shit. If you're triggered, it's we sometimes say it's gold. It's our freedom toward dispelling what we have been, the lens through which we have been perceiving, the distortion lens of I'm not good enough or I don't matter. And so to see that that's what's going on is the opening the door to the awakened state. Not that one that person is going to wake up. But the door will reveal that there you are and you are already awake.
A good practice.
It is.
Polly, so every time that is still story going on, I still on the mind, no? If something happened and I wrote 6 steps and still any level of story, I did good, I didn't do good, I understand now, blah, 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 I still in the mind, because when you really finish, the way that you are saying, you open the door and you see who is there, and that's awareness. In awareness is no story at all.
That's right.
You drop the whole thing. So you don't try to fix the problem, the level of the persona,
That's right.
nothing there to be fixed.
Yeah, there's so much, and there's been this cycle, I think of it as a cycle of awakening that had to do with dealing with childhood perception and wounds and identities, right? And that was a necessary part of the evolving into the possibility for understanding the way in which we create what we experience, right? So we've been on the right track of that, but at the heart of the matter now, there's a bright light shining on how this reality creates. What is my part in having this be my experience? Because it's so important to understand that. Otherwise, and this has gone on for millennia, people are in victimized circumstances because the experience is that the external looking like the crooks that robbed me or the mother that beat me or whatever, looking like they are the cause of my experience. And it's compelling. It's very hard. There's no way to argue with the child that was not daddy that spanked me. That really happened. And so now we're moving into a shift in collective consciousness that portends the possibility of heaven on earth. This is the morphogenetic field of consciousness that is arising into the understanding gained through quantum physics of how reality shows up. We're very, I think all of us, especially those of us online or in the room, are conscious. We made conscious decisions to incarnate for this, to be here, to wake up this time, to know who I am, know the part that I play in having this experience, in having this reality. The high bar. It's the most exciting thing, though. Yeah.
Polly, as long as I've known you, these many years, I've never heard you be in a story about anything. Is that true, Robin? You've known her more deeply than me.
There's no
She
story.
tells a lot of stories.
Right. But she doesn't.
But she's not in them.
Blah, blah,
She's not in them.
No, she's not in
She
them.
doesn't exist in
Exactly.
them.
Yeah, the me really did fall away. It surprised the me that fell away, that she wasn't running the show anymore. But it's being present, expressed through the design that you, whether it's your astrology or your human design, whatever it is, through the design of your avatar, is the fun of a 3D reality. And so we are waking up out of the experience of assuming that something out there is cause in the matter of my experience, that it's cause in the matter of the planetary experience. We have an opportunity to change reality here. It starts with each one of us. You do it where you are first, and then you'll know what your part is next. That's what happened here. I'm really grateful that it was on Maui, but hey.
I was traveling last week, and I was seeing this beautiful group of women. We were sitting in a restaurant in very high frequency, and it was cool. And suddenly walk with this lady, she's an activist. And she come to our table and she was sharing all the things that's going wrong in this planet, why you should protest. And the energy is like, boom, sunk, and I was just watching, since I didn't have any partner in that store, I was just watching, and I could see how it's easy for us to see the things out of there. It's like our body's kind of addicted to the cortisol and fear. So when you don't have enough in our personal life, we just go fight with the mayor, with the governor, and this and that, and you just add layers and the layers of things to fight. It's like somebody's against us, and can be anybody. It's always somebody show up to be against when I have this belief.
That's right.
And it was, I mean, I love Gaia. I love Mother Earth, Pachamama, Mamacita, but I really don't need, I don't want to buy in that frequency, that vibration to feed my body with the cortisol that I'm being so used to. And I don't think we can do any good in being that low frequency. I like how good we are doing to the planet right now in this frequency that's going on this day right now. So it's really nice that, and that is 100% on the level of the persona. That need to protect itself, that need to protect, that need get something, avoid something. When you come back, one step back, and you see ourselves forever, as Deirdre called, the child of God, and our worth is guaranteed by God, by the Creator. When we realize ourselves as a creator of this reality here, it's nothing to protect it,
Nothing.
or to fight against.
Not even a world.
No.
Not even
It's never been more important to ignore reality these days.
That's a powerful truth. Good.
Yeah,
Or the illusion.
it's tricky business too.
Yeah.
It's everywhere you go. It's-
It's a choice.
It's really
It's a
fun.
constant choice and frequency.
I've been really practicing myself about communicating from a higher place, and just every time I'm in a conversation where somebody wants to engage with something wrong with the world, something wrong with the government, something wrong with our governor or whatever, just don't want to be against anything. And Linda was really helpful with that. She said, we don't want to be against anything. I want to be for peace.
No resistance.
And without any resistance, it's like there's nobody has any, and everybody has the same value for that. And there was a friend last night that I had dinner with, and he had his sign, and he's going out to the protest tomorrow, and he's, and he was so excited, and his sign said something about no more dishonesty, no more, and it was all about, over there, something, and I thought, well, instead of saying anything bad about a sign, I'm like, oh yeah, I agree with that, I don't want that stuff either. But I didn't have to get into, there's always a way to see the truth and to express the truth for it without getting in an opposite position.
Yeah.
And that's been my fun time lately, and it's really working. I'm not getting in any conversation with anybody about anything. None of that.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend that holds that, and it's a delightful conversation when you don't fight it, and also speak truth in the moment
That's right.
of what I'm open to engage in, and it's honored back,
Right.
and it didn't impact the relationship negatively. It's a beautiful, loving relationship. That's beautiful.
And that was the viewpoint of Whoopi Goldberg, who I listen to every morning on The View, because I guess that's how I get my news.
Oh.
And she said something today that was really important. She said, don't leave it up to the government to change anything. She said, it's up to the people
Don't
to
do that
take
to Whoopi
take
either.
their stand, What did you say?
I said, don't leave it up to Whoopi either.
No,
Or as we often call her, Karen, which is her name. Oh, Karen Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah, the polarization can get to be very extreme, and that's what we're solving in our own experience, in our own energetic body. Is the polarization, to come home to yourself, because it's the fundamental thing about the projection into the external reality is the projection of the polarization of being against yourself. And at the heart of the matter, people who are pretty out there and pretty vociferous about their expression of where the potential is for them, is to do the work up close and personal. And that's where we all do the work first. From there, everything opens up in possibilities and opportunities that we can't know as long as we are in resistance to out there. It can't show potential possibilities, opportunities, as long as we're resisting it. Right? So then what we're mostly resisting is who we're being to ourselves. So it's a very beautifully, it's a beautiful understanding of the nature of reality as energy flowing and moving and always available to a greater opening, to more peace, more of everything that's true. It's always available for that. So good. How we doing?
We have about 7 more minutes. We haven't heard from the Zoom room. Anybody?
They're sleeping in there.
Yeah.
They put up pictures of themselves.
Has anyone heard from Connie? I don't see she's on.
I spoke to her today.
Good.
So we hold her in our highest possibility.
Yeah.
It's a very tough time for her.
Thank you for sharing.
One thing that, so since you have a few minutes, I would like, can I share one thing more and ask you or talk a little about that? On this trip that I did, they talk a lot about death and rituals and funerals and all relate to that. And one thing that I experienced since I didn't have again any attachment, what Christy said the other day, I'm trying to heal my attachments, and sometimes I have zero attachment. So that was the case. I just realized what you're being teaching us, Polly. The fear of that is the big illusion that you're being suffered for millenniums. Because when you're in awareness can never die. The persona dropped this story here that most of the time is fucked up. So what? You know, we dropped that, don't need to be. But do you have anything that like tried? I come back and I come home and like, why people invest so much in fear of that?
Well, because they identify with the body, you know, the body mind, like I am this, if I am this avatar and it can die, then I could be in fear about that. But, you know, I was just working with someone earlier today, and I said, when you woke up this morning and that person that you thought you were last night in your dreams, are you mourning her? Where's that girl? It's like we don't acknowledge the way in which reality is so effusive, so amorphous. It shows up and creates realities all the time. It's like, you know, they're not identified. I mean, I do believe that one reason that the collective aging population experiences a lot of cognitive dissonance is so that it can stop identifying with its mind, right? So that I can't remember where I live, but I'm right here right now. You know, it's like a consciousness is so malleable and so available for experience, for life. So it's you know, I told you the story about my little grandson who said he was sad to my son about he was worried about death and dying. I think he was 6 or 7 years old, and my son said, well, oh, just, you know, the bodies die, but we are eternal beings. And I just said, wow, Dad, that's such good news. It's like the child just hears that and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
It's like Max with his dementia. He says it's just an ascension sign. Yeah, he's disassociated with the world and ready to elevate out of it.
Yeah.
I really have the feeling that dementia is a divine gift for us, so we let go where you have no attachment, no stories. When it's time to go is the pure awareness, and you drop the body like you drop the vehicle on the rental car. I have no attachments. When I rent a car, I have no attachments.
That's right.
Why so many attachments to my car?
That's right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. It's the identification with, yes, exactly.
Linda, I'm writing a play called Divine Dementia.
Exactly.
I'm halfway through it.
Can you say that Max is having some really great wise things coming out of his mouth?
Yeah, he'll be here May 10th. So he'll come to Sangha that week.
Oh,
And he's
great.
gonna be at the Nita Wise gathering,
Oh, good.
so you can see him then.
I wanted to just emphasize the malleability of the energetic flow that's continuously happening. And that with every shift that happens, there's a new potential possibility. And thank you for speaking to the energetic flows.
Right.
That's what I see, words are.
Well, that's what positionality keeps us from. If you have a mental position about something, you're not available for the movement and the arising. What you're pointing to is the flow, which is the nature of reality, the flow and the movement. And then even on quantum physics, what we would call entanglement theory, in that flow without resistance to it, things come together that might be catalytic for another possibility. But without the flow, it's just going to be stopped. Things get stuck. So the mind, in its need to control, creates stuckness, right? Whereas reality is just opening and blooming and flowing and allowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ever changing.
Always.
So vast,
Impermanent.
delightful.
Okay.
I think that's a lovely place to take a pause here.